All right, let's take a deep dive into the world of watermelons. This isn't just about fruit, it's about history, engineering, and some seriously clever farming.
The Icebox Watermelon. Ever wonder why we call these icebox melons? Think back to the early 20th century, before those giant double-door fridges existed. People had ice boxes, wooden cabinets cooled by actual blocks of ice. Back then, a standard 30-pound watermelon was a logistical nightmare. It just wouldn't fit. So breeders got a specific mission: make a melon that fits in the fridge whole, no slicing required. Seedless watermelon. The seedless name is a bit of a white lie, isn't it? You've probably noticed those soft, translucent little white specks inside. Those aren't seeds you need to spit out. They're just empty seed coats that didn't develop. The technology behind this isn't some new age GMO trick either. It actually dates back to 1939, thanks to a Japanese professor named Hitoshi Kihara. He figured out that if you cross a normal watermelon with one that has double the chromosomes, you get a triploid hybrid. Think of it like a mule, the offspring of a horse and a donkey. It grows up big and strong, but it's sterile. Since the melon can't produce offspring, it doesn't waste energy making hard black seeds. Instead, it pours all that extra energy and sugar straight into the red flesh. That's why seedless melons are almost always sweeter and more consistent than the old school variety. If you think the yellow watermelon is some weird new hybrid, I've got a surprise for you. This is actually the original gangster of the watermelon world. Thousands of years ago, the wild ancestors of the watermelons we know today, growing in the Kalahari Desert, were actually yellow or white, and they were pretty bitter. The red color we love was actually a later mutation that humans specifically selected for. So, when you're eating a yellow melon, you're eating a piece of history, just with a modern, sweet upgrade. The sunny color comes from high levels of beta-carotene, the same stuff in carrots, rather than the lycopene that makes other melons red. To my palate, these don't just taste like watermelon. They have these incredible hints of honey, apricot, and even a bit of mango. In places like Thailand, they're symbols of good luck because of that golden hue. The orange watermelon is another natural beauty that people often mistake for a cross between a melon and a cantaloupe. Let me set the record straight. They don't crossbreed like that. That vibrant orange interior is pure Citrulus lanatus. It's all about the carotenoids. Just like the yellow ones, these were stabilized in the mid-20th century to bring out that honey king flavor profile. I love these because the texture is usually a bit denser and crunchier than the red ones. They thrive in extreme heat. Places like Texas, Mexico, and Israel produce the best of the bunch. If you find a variety like the Orange Crisp or Desert King, grab it. They often have a higher sugar content than standard reds, giving you a deep tropical sweetness that feels more like a dessert than a snack. Now we get into the designer fruit. The square watermelon is a triumph of Japanese aesthetics and space-saving logic. Back in the late 70s, a designer named Tomoyuki Ono realized that round melons were a pain. They roll around on the counter and take up too much space. The solution? Grow them inside a tempered glass or plastic cube. As the melon grows, it takes the shape of its container. But here's the catch. They are almost never for eating. To maintain that perfect cube shape, farmers have to harvest them before they're actually ripe. If they waited for them to get sweet, the pressure would likely make the melon explode inside the box. So what you're buying for $100 to $800 is a piece of art that can stay beautiful on your table for 6 months to a year. It's the ultimate status symbol gift in Japan. If the square melon is a boutique item, the black diamond is the heavyweight champion of the American South. This is an heirloom variety from the 1940s, famous for its nearly black, deep green rind. It looks like a literal cannonball sitting in the field. This dark skin isn't just for looks. It helps the fruit absorb more solar heat, which speeds up the sugar-making process in the heart of the fruit. Back in the day, this was the gold standard for farmers because of its armored rind. The skin is so thick and tough that you could literally stack these melons 5 or 6 deep in the back of a truck without worrying about the ones on the bottom cracking. When you cut one open, you get that old school, grainy, real watermelon texture that's becoming harder to find in modern hybrids.
This is the icon. If you ask a kid to draw a watermelon, they're drawing a crimson sweet. Developed at Kansas State University in 1963, this was a scientific breakthrough. At the time, diseases were wiping out crops, so Dr. Charles Hall created a super melon that was resistant to almost everything. It's the reason watermelons became a global supermarket staple. What really sets it apart is the Brix level. That's how we measure sugar. A crimson sweet consistently hits 10 to 12% sugar content, which was huge back in the 60s. You can recognize them by those classic dark green jagged stripes on a light green background. It's not perfectly round, but more like a rounded block, which makes it easy to ship and even easier to slice into perfect wedges.
Finally, let's talk about the Charleston Gray. If the Crimson Sweet is the king of the supermarket, the Charleston Gray is the king of the open road. Introduced in 1954, it was designed specifically for long-distance logistics. Its long, cylindrical loaf shape meant you could stack them like cordwood in a train car or a semi-truck, filling every square inch of space. The gray part of the name comes from its unique, dusty, light green skin. That light color is actually a clever bit of engineering. It reflects the sun's rays, so the melon doesn't cook while sitting in a hot field. It's incredibly heat-resistant and drought-tolerant, making it a favorite for farmers in the Middle East and Africa. It's a workhorse of a melon, tough on the outside, but crisp and surprisingly sweet on the inside.